The Know Your Gear podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Know Your Gear podcast episode. It's 341. Like I said, every time I tell you guys, I have to take a second because I have a delay in my screen to when I see it. And there you go. So it's 341. All right. Hopefully everybody's having a good time. We're going to be talking about some guitar stuff, you name it, including doing something really cool. It's the holiday season, and I want to do some fun, interesting stuff. And so first, I got to tell you, we're doing a promotion with Stu Mac. So I mentioned on Black Friday that we reached out to Stu Mac. We didn't hear back from anybody. But what happened was what you probably imagined would happen. They got back to us and said, yes, we'll definitely do the promotion. So they are offering a 10% deal. Let me show you real quick. That will make it easy. So same thing we did last year. I just want to let you know. Here's how it works. If you go and use the link down below, you can get 50% off the Stu Mac's deal and 10% off your orders. So basically, you click the link and you sign up for Stu Mac's if you like. And if you sign up for Stu Mac's, what's going to happen is you will get... Hold on a second. Let me fix that. There, that's a little better. You will get 50% off their program. So I think it's like $50 for the year, so it makes it $25. And then what happens is you get free freight for an entire year. In fact, I think it tells you the other things too. You get discounts on certain material, certain products. Some discounts are 10%, some discounts are heavier. And just let you know, it's a pretty good deal, especially as you guys know, the one thing that we all hate about Stu Mac is their crazy shipping rates. You know, it's hard to buy a $9 fret file when they want to charge you $12 to $15 to ship that. I know, I felt the pain. I'm always like you guys, I'm in the same boat. Like, how do I add up this thing so that, not that the shipping goes down, it's just like, how do I get to $50-$60 so the total $70 and it doesn't feel like I just doubled what I just paid for one item. So let you know. I've also mentioned this in the past. I have an affiliate with Amazon, and there's a reason why I don't affiliate the Amazon through Stu Mac, okay? So Stu Mac is on Amazon. This comes up every once in a while. I just want you guys to know it, okay? If you buy Stu Mac on Amazon, there is no shipping. However, they've added into the price. The prices are not the same, so you have to look and compare. So even though I have an affiliate with Amazon, and if I link that to you guys and say, hey, go buy it on Amazon, get Stu Mac on Amazon, and I'll get a kickback, you actually don't save a lot of money. It's because, like I said, they've adjusted the prices. You'd have to go and do some comparative price shopping. So I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying be aware of that. Again, like I say all the time, I want to put money in your pocket. This is one of those things that does that. If you're going to buy Stu Mac products, this is a deal. It's a legit deal. Jason, thank you. He said it's $55 for the year. So basically cut that in half. So there you go. $27 basically. And for the year. And as long as you buy multiple tools throughout the year, you'll be fine. And check it out. And then, like I said, just because, again, it's always important to be upfront, but also to understand what's cool about this is if you use the link that I put in the video, when you do all this, even though they're giving you a discount, they're still kicking money back to the channel, like literally millions of dollars. Millions. It's not millions, but it could be substantial. Like I said, it could be pretty legit depending on how many of you take advantage of this. The deal, so you know, is from today until the 26th. So basically not quite 2 weeks. I'll remind you guys next Friday as well. So what is that? I wanted to do that because I wanted to announce this. I know we're starting the show this way, but please understand the Stu Mac thing is kind of pretty cool. But because it's a whole, like whenever I start the show with a, hey, buy, spend your money, I want to also do something else. So what I'm going to do is a giveaway, and we'll be doing a giveaway this entire time of the Stu Mac thing, so we'll be reminding you too. And I was looking for things to give away. I was like, what can we give away? And I said, you know what? I said, I want to do something cool. So here's what I'm going to do. There's a link down below. If you want to enter the contest, it's going to take you right to the www.knowyourgearpodcast website. It's anytime we do a contest, I only send you to my website. I'm the only one that emails you, me personally, from my pmcknight7@gmail account. And I always email the same thing. Hey, you have some stuff coming. and like we just did the Fishman amp, I'm going to be giving away a set of my Northern Lights pickups, my Blackstock pickups, the Northern Light model. And I'm going to give you a choice. I made these really cool burnt ones. Bare Knuckles have done this for years. I've seen a few other companies do this too. They basically, you just torch the covers, gives it this really cool, like the oil, when you see that, the light and the oil finish, when you spill oil on the ground. And so I'm going to be giving away a set of these. Now, if you go to the link, it doesn't show these, and it's because I know these are kind of out there and different. So what I'm going to do is you choose, okay? You can have a normal set in chrome, or you can have the ones that I did where like just kind of out there and cool and different, right? So something fun. And then of course they're signed by me, all my stuff, like I said. So either way, it's a $300 value. I'm giving them away. So there you go. You choose when you win, and I email you. You just have to tell me which one. Something we changed this time is in the verbiage. It doesn't say you have to be a U.S. resident. It just says it has to be a U.S. address. This is a question I got asked a couple times from viewers who said, hey, I'm somewhere, blah, 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 and I have a relative or a friend in the States, and I go, sometimes you visit, and things like that. And can you send it there? In fact, I just did it. So what happened was a person who won the Fishman amp basically said, when I told them they won, they said, look, I'm sorry, I didn't read the directions, so to speak, and I don't live in the United States. I said, okay. And they go, I have an address. You can ship it to the United States to a relative, but I don't live in the United States. And I said, okay, you know what? I don't want to go through the whole process again. Why don't I just ship it there? So that's what I did for him. And so, I know some of you guys that were outside the U.S. didn't probably enter the contest because of the rules. That's why I'm updating it now. I'm trying to make it easier. I'm trying to get there, guys. I'm trying to get it to outside the U.S., but keep in mind, it's always the shipping. It's a big unknown, and it's duties, fees, and shipping. And so, I've done it in the past, and this is the important part. Like I said, a lot of things I'll tell you from experience. I have shipped things in the past overseas, prizes, and I've had it happen now where unless the prize is really good, right, has to be a lot cooler than my Northern Lights pickups. Okay, it has to be like a PRS core guitar or something, because I had it twice now happen where wherever it shipped to, the duties and stuff are so high, the person didn't want to pay all that, so they said, yeah, I'll pay it, and then when it got there, they didn't pay it. So I'm not saying all of you would do that, but it's happened twice over the years of doing YouTube, so you can imagine I'm not going to do that. So there you go. Click the links down below if you would like to save some money on StewMac tools and help out the channel, or click the link down below if you would just like to win some pickups that are made by me with love and care. And I didn't bring it, but I should also tell you it's going to come with some picks and a pick pouch and some other stuff with the pickups. I've kind of been throwing that stuff in the boxes lately because I have some cool stuff. Okay, that was enough of that. That's the business part of the show. Let's get to the fun part of the show, and let's hit some questions. We have super chats. We had some questions coming this week, including one I'm actually excited about. This question was really cool. Or it won't be. I don't know. That's how I just hyped it up for nothing. So let's go ahead and talk about some things you guys want to talk about. Tony wants to know, Phil, did you get your guitar from Texas Toast, the Challenger? I did. It's driving me crazy. It's downstairs in a box. So I don't know. I thought about doing this. I'd be stealing the idea from Aguafish, which Hunter and I, every time I talk to him, I go, do you say it? Is that how I say it? And he tells me I always say it wrong, but I don't know. It's Aguafish. So Aguafish does this thing on his channel where when he gets all these packages from companies, he opens them and he does like an unboxing, I think a real quick one, like of all the packages, and then goes, this is what's coming out next month. And I've toyed with that idea. Obviously, it's a good idea, and so let's steal the idea. But I haven't done that yet. And so to tell you guys what's going on is I have, like right now, there's an amp right there behind me. There's a Soldano and a cabinet there behind me. And the reason the amp's there is because it was faster when I was starting the show to put an amp there to hide something behind that because you can't see it yet. So basically what happens is I already have, I've told you guys before, my stuff is scheduled out like months in advance. Like months. At least 2 or 3, sometimes 6. It depends on what I'm doing and what the content is going to be. So sometimes stuff just sits, and it drives me crazy because, so you guys know, there are things that I buy personally that I'm excited about that I just want to share with you guys, and then I don't even open them when they show up because, again, I want to kind of unbox it. I've told you guys this before. I should be very clear. Every video you've ever seen that I've done, I have filmed the unboxing part. Whether that becomes part of the video or not has to do with just the way I like to edit the videos. You know, is it interesting when I'm unboxing it? Was it not interesting? I mean, you know, if I ended up unboxing going, yeah, it's a guitar, and then everything else after that's interesting, I chop that out. Sometimes I fast forward through it, but I film all the unboxings. So a lot of times I just can't just start unboxing stuff. So it's here. I'm excited about it. I'm going to get to it. I have a couple videos that have to be done by the end of the year. And more importantly, I say a couple, I have two. I have two videos that have to be done by the year, but more importantly, December is like my time of the year where I'm going to be doing some videos. I'm going to do my favorite pedals video. I don't know how many of you are going to watch it, but it's to tell you guys what my favorite pedals are, not the ones I just got that I think are cool, the ones I've had for a long time and why it's cool. Obviously, my year-end summary video and another cool video about some guitars and stuff and I like. So again, some more personal stuff. So there you go. 251 says Phil's favorite sandwich ? It's a Philly cheesesteak. I can tell you now, my wife has now been gluten-free for, I think, 2 or 3 years. Her doctor said, you know, hey, we're going to put you on this medication or you can stop eating gluten. And so she gave it a try and she said it worked. Whatever was bugging her stopped bugging her. So I'm a honorary gluten-free, which means I symbolically, I don't eat that stuff. So I've really learned sandwiches are really different for me now. Like I gotta like Philly's cheesesteak. If you wrap it in lettuce or something like that, it's still really good. Now don't get me wrong, I still eat bread and stuff. I just try not to do it around her, or I'll do it if like we go to a restaurant and literally there's nothing to eat that's gluten-free. She'll just eat a salad, and at that point I'm like, I'm gonna eat something like real stuff, or you know, I'm not gonna eat just a salad if I'm not in the mood for it. So okay. All right, I feel like we're getting so off subject. Let's get back on the subject. Oh, and I don't want to lose this. Hold on a second. Like I said, the moderators. All right, Amanda sent me some stuff. What did she send me? She sent me. Gas Addict says, any recommendations on a good, easy-to-use noise gate? My old man is wanting one for Christmas. Thanks. You know, I like the Boss Noise Gate. I thought they came out with a new one that has like an effects loop. No, I think the other one had an effects loop in it. So noise gates, I generally just have the Boss one. Okay, so you guys know. The ISP Decimator is the favorite. If I was going to say, like when I poll all my friends that use noise gates pretty on the regular, I don't use noise gates on the regular. So like I said, so I basically, one day in my travels, I saw a Boss Noise Gate pedal, probably $30 or something, $39, some kind of reasonable price used, and just bought it and go, oh, I have that. And I probably use it once every 2 years. So that's the one I like. But the ISP Decimator is what I would say is like industry standard. You know what I mean? So like if you ask me like what's a great compressor, I love MXR compressor. I like the Boss compressor, but the Kiesel compressor is like, I would say is industry standard. It's the SM57 of compressor pedals, right? I mean, I really like Wampler's compressor, the Ego. There's so many compressors I love, right? Vintage ones, boutique ones, but like to me, gold standard, if you're only going to have one compressor, I would recommend the Kiesel. Same thing with Noise Gate. If you're only going to have one, the ISP Decimator would be the one to go. Gas Addict says, perfect. I like the one knob. Yeah, really cool, really good one. And like I said, the players that I are friends with that really love noise gates tend to go to that one as the go-to. So there you go. Ariel says, Phil, what does the noise gate do? So a noise gate, noise suppression or noise gate, is a a pedal or an effect that what it does is it sets a volume. That's the best. I'm going to really dumb it down because you said you didn't know what it was. I just want to keep it simple for you, okay? Since I'm just talking and no illustrative things to hold. Imagine like when the volume gets really, really quiet, like on an amp. So really what a noise gate, the best way to visualize it is a distorted amplifier, right? So you're playing rock and roll and then you stop. And when you stop, the amp's making all this hissing sound because, distortion is very disruptive sounding. And so the amp has a hiss, and the noise gate, what you do is you set the level on it. And I'm actually using a noise gate right now. So, I have it as a plugin on my, in my what is this? The OBS software that my software that I use for podcasts has a noise suppressor and a noise gate in it. And so what it's doing is I have it set so that right now, if the volume gets really, really quiet, in fact, if I just stop talking, you're not supposed to hear anything. And what's interesting is you guys should tell me if it worked, because there was an airplane flying over right now when I was talking. So when I was quiet, like right then, if you guys didn't hear an airplane, that's the noise gate. The noise gate, basically any noise that's just really, really quiet wherever I set it. So it's a threshold. So in a guitar sense, though, it would be, like I said, setting it so that, when you stop in between a song, people don't have to hear all that really loud hissing sounds and stuff. And so that's what it does. It just sets a threshold. And the noise gate, sometimes you hear it and it always sounds like shh. Like it's actually shushing something, because here, like, just bring the volume down. It grabs the volume when it gets to a low, it grabs it and brings it and turns it all the way off. So, Ellen says it worked. Yeah, I was going to say that was good timing, because there was an airplane literally flying over, and that's why I use a noise gate. Actually, so I don't find myself lying, I am using a noise gate. Yes, I wanted to make sure, because there's noise suppressor, noise gate, kind of the same thing, but what actual plugin I'm using? Noise gate. Like right now, another airplane's flying over. And so I use a noise gate because, like, if there's background noise and it's really quiet, it's not distracting us. And more, so there you go. Okay. Yeah, Kev says the more gain you use, the more you need one. I absolutely agree with that. In fact, my two favorite high gain tones are my Ingle Fireball 25, which has noise gate built into it, which is what I wish the 5150 EVH had in it, which is why I use the 5150 EVH pedal. It's right down there on my pedal board. It's one of my favorite distortion pedals of all time, high gain pedals. There is, like, if you asked me, like, Phil, out of your high gain pedals, the Friedman BEOD, the EVH 5150, the LPD 87, I'm trying to think of another high gain pedal I have. The Metal Zone, no. But maybe the Metal Zone, the Wazacraft Metal Zone, I really like that pedal. Insert other here, other high gain pedal, which is your favorite. And interestingly enough, I would say out of those, the 87 by LPD is my favorite. But I use the 5150 like 98% of the time, because the slight difference in quality of sound, like I think the 87 sounds more amp-like than the 5150. The 5150 is just really a beehive of distortion. When I'm practicing, like I was doing earlier, I really like that the noise gate just shuts the sound off and I don't have to hear that in the background. So yeah, I like a noise gate for that. But like I said, my two main high gain sounds, the Ingle and the 5150, both have noise gates built in. Says, hey Phil, what do you think of iRig 2? I like iRig. I told you guys I like iRig. Amplitude, I don't know the differences between the there's three, right? Like two main softwares. There's Amplitude, and then there's the other one. I have both. I mentioned this before. I have both softwares. One company gave me a software, and one I bought off Sweetwater. And I just so I have one on this computer and one on my laptop for travel. And I like them both. I was trying to figure out like which one I like better. Oh, iRig. I think it's iRig, right? So I have iRig and Amplitude. And I don't know. Neither one of them. It's like, to be honest with you, it's like two good amplifiers. Neither one of them are better. It's just kind of like, if I picked one, I would have just picked one. But what happened was I bought one for my laptop, and I really should figure out which one's which because I can't even remember half time now. And then when the other company said, "Hey, we'll send you a thing of our software," I said, "Oh, okay," and I put it on this computer. So, yeah, guitar rig. Thank you, High Desert Hoodad. Yeah, so guitar rig and then amplitude. And like I said, I really would be just guessing if I said I liked one over the other. I don't really prefer. I think there's one format I liked a little bit better than the other, but again, nothing bad. Bias, that's the other one I have too. So I must have three. Like I said, I have a bunch of these softwares. The companies, over the years, either I bought them or companies sent them. All of them are good. The thing about the software is the software is proof that that's all you really need. If you had if you have a laptop and you got an interface and any of these softwares, I mean, it's everything. It's amazing. There's no need for any real amplifiers anymore if you're using that for recording and stuff. Everything sounds fantastic. So I've said this before. I'll say it again over and over and over again so you guys are aware. If I wasn't doing YouTube content, I don't know if I would actually care about amplifiers as much. I would probably have one or two legacy type amplifiers, things that mean something sentimentally, for me. But other than that, I'd probably be all software on my computer and the Kemper and Tonex or whatever, and just that stuff, because it's so easy for workflow and so easy to just make music and play on, and everything sounds fine, in my opinion. But in the YouTube review arena, I don't want to be, because I've told you guys, it's just my opinion, but I think that stuff sounds so good that when I don't use it, because I think you guys would go, "Oh, that sounds amazing." I'm like, of course it does. It's digital stuff made to sound perfect, and through the internet, it's compressed and everything. It does. It just, it sounds good. Okay. Let's see. Tampa Blue says they're great for apartment living. Absolutely. So, absolutely. Let's see. Okay, hold on a second. Let me refresh this. I am all over okay, here it is. Fast Freddy 33 says, Phil, have you posted a review of the Firebird? I have not. The Firebird, just to give you a reference of like a lifestyle, right? The Firebird I purchased for myself. It's not for just for the YouTube channel. It's something I wanted, I was interested in. I bought it, and of course now I want to do a video of it. Half the reason the video got postponed so far, besides I'm busy, but that's just a cop out to say I'm busy. In the first 5 minutes of playing the guitar, the high E string broke. This is how crazy this is. And then it just sat for probably 2 months. Because I was like, I'd go, I'd have to restring that guitar. And I'd go to restring it, and I'm like, I have other things to do. So it's crazy. Like I said, it's crazy. There's, I have a friend who's another YouTuber who said this thing, and I think it really is really insightful. He said, doing the YouTube gig like we do, it's basically you understand that you're going to be playing guitars and amps and pedals all the time. Not your favorite, not your personal one. You're just going to be playing guitars and amps and pedals all the time. Like you're playing the gear that's sent to you, or the gear that people are interested in, more so than your personal gear. And that's what happened with the Firebird. It just got put on the back burner. So it got pushed back twice, so So will it come out? Yeah, not this month though. It's not going to happen this month. So, and then next month obviously is going to be tricky too, because there's all kinds of stuff going on next month. So it's going to be Richard said Phil's needs attack. Yeah, I mean it's like I said, so it's okay. And somebody says, you just say, yeah, get another one off the wall. It's exactly what I do. If a guitar basically breaks a string, there's guitars here. So I set it down and play another guitar. Okay. Let's grab some super chats too. Let me jump around And then, like I said, I got a couple cool questions sent to me in the email that I was excited about. We'll hit that in like a couple minutes. So the first super chat came from John, who says, "Hey, got a Black Cat, Bad Cat, Black Cat. He says it's a great amp. That's my favorite of the Bad Cat amps. But wonder your thoughts on a light bass amp. Have you played Ampeg? Venture stuff has to be giggable, but preferably light. Thinking 115 cab. Don't ask me the music style." Okay. I don't know. Ampeg is my absolute favorite amplifier company for bass, like Marshall is for amps, and the idea that it's iconic to me. And I love my Ampeg guitar amp. Ampeg bass amps, they sound okay. The new ones, the new Light series and stuff, they sound great. Like I said, they sound great. But are they better than the Fender Light stuff? Are they better than anybody else's? I don't know if they're better. Part of the Ampeg tone is the growl, the kind of rock and roll sound. But a lot of that sound was the 810 cabinets, the tube heads, so I don't know. Me personally, I've said this before, I've pretty much ditched all bass amps, and I pretty much just use a preamp, and I just go direct. If I do need a bass amp for a small little jam or something like that, I have a Phil Jones. I have I think I still have a Fender Rumble somewhere, just a couple of light amps. So bass amps are, it's really weird. So because bass amps for me, in other words, and when I play bass, it's for function. In other words, I don't collect basses. I'm not doing content with basses. It's usually I'm playing music. When I'm playing music, again, my mindset is just, this is my one bass I play, and this is literally the rig that works. And I can, it gets me the tone I want, which is the preamp. But yeah, if you like the Ampeg stuff, it's good stuff. All that stuff now is super light and super good. So, okay. And then Mr. S says, "Hey, are any of the guitars on the wall and other tunings besides standard?" Yes. So the most of the guitars are in different tunings. I'm constantly in hell when I do content because I play only a couple guitars in standard tuning. Most of my guitars will be a half step down. I just like that. Some guitars are in in drop D tuning. Some guitars are in drop B tunings. Some guitars are in dadgad. Some guitars are just tuned all kinds of weird ways. So yeah, a lot of the guitars are tuned different ways for sure. Not all of them, but a lot of them are tuned differently. Now what I do personally now for my personal thing is if it's a guitar I know I'm not going to use in videos, then I just go ahead and assign it to be a differently tuned instrument. So sometimes that's why when you see a guitar on the wall and you're like, "Hey, how come you don't use it in the videos?" It's just because it's different tuned. I don't know what it is particularly about not tuning your guitar to standard that makes people on the internet lose their mind, but they do lose their mind. When I started making content, almost all my videos were half step down because I was just playing half step down all the time. And people would be like, "That guitar is not in tune, it's half step down." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know what that means." It means like, it's fine. It's fine. It's okay. Basically I'm like, okay, I'll tune to standard because again, I look at it like, the viewership has critique, and the critique is obviously something they care about. Why not just adjust to it? So I just adjust to it. It wasn't like I was, willing to die on that, hill for half step down tuning. But yeah, a lot of the guitars are tuned different ways for a lot of reasons. Absolutely. Okay. Okay. Now here's a subject question, and Amanda sent another one. I'm going to grab her here too. In fact, I just need to make sure that this was from Derek. It says, "Hey Phil, happy Friday. How come when I turn my Les Paul neck volume to 0 with bridge volume at 10, my guitar is silent in the middle position? Same with the neck on the 10. Yeah, okay. So Derek, that is what it's supposed to do if you have that circuit. So what he's talking about is when you have two volumes and two tones on a guitar and you put the guitar in the middle position, if you turn either one of the volumes off, your volume is completely off, right? It is how it's supposed to work, but there is a workaround for that. The easiest way is to assign a master volume to the guitar. That sometimes works the best. Last week or the week before, I think I was talking about, I did a wiring job for a customer, and that's exactly what his problem was. He had a hollow body guitar with 2 volumes, 2 tones, and he did not want, when in the middle position, he wanted to be able to not have the middle position turn off if one of the guitar pickups were off. And so that's what I did. I wired it up to have a master volume for that. And so the master volume will control whether or not all the pickups are off, and that way he can use the 2 other volumes to blend. The schematic I used for that was based on the Bootsy Collins bass, where he had the 4 pickups and they're all volumes to each, and then he has a master volume. I found it online. I found that was the schematic. It was easy for me to find. I saw that bass schematic. I looked at it and I go, okay, yeah, that's something I can adapt to. And I kind of took that and then a standard Les Paul wiring, and I kind of merged the two and made it work. So you can make it not do what you're having it, what it's doing to you, but that is what it's supposed to do, by design, by the original design. So if it's not something you're concerned about, don't worry that your guitar is not functioning correctly. It's functioning how they made it, but you can do it both ways. Jason said that's how my PRS McCarty 594 is. It's going to be pretty much standard for any guitar with 2 volumes, 2 tones. That's going to be the kind of standard way it's wired. But again, you can wire it. You can wire it with the master volume so that it doesn't do that, and you can wire it so that it doesn't do that even if you only have 2 volumes. But you do have to readjust the wiring. So, okay, let's see. Mojo Jojo says, "Hey Phil, will you be attending the Kiesel event?" I'm having. Thank you guys, by the way, everybody, for dealing with me today. I gotta tell you, I did my bonus podcast for the patrons in the last 7 days or whatever, and then I was on the Tone Mob podcast, which was great. And what happens is after a while, I'm like, I'm trying to remember what I said in what show and not, another show. So let me give you guys this update. So Kiesel Guitars is having an event January 27th. It's absolutely free to the public. That will be the week of the NAMM show. So if you're at the NAMM show or are in that area, Kiesel is like a 60-minute drive, I think, south of the NAMM show. And you can go to the Kiesel event on Saturday. They'll have I'm just going off all the stuff they said. They're going to have a taco truck and a burger truck. They're going to be giving tours of the factory. Really cool is there'll actually be employees in the factory working on guitars. So they're going to do a floating day that week. So the employees will have a day off during the week and then work that Saturday so that, people can see the factory. They want to show the pride of their work. The employees want to show their pride of their workmanship when they're in the factory and show you guys. So they will be doing a guided tour through the factory and seeing the work. And then, of course, there'll be events. And, of course, there's also going to be shows performances by Kiesel artists. This is absolutely true. They reached out and asked me, first you guys told me about it. They reached out and asked me if I would like to go. And I had seen where they said they were going to be giving out free waters. And I said, yeah, I'd like to go. And if you'd like, I would hand out free waters. So I was going to go and hand out free waters. They responded back, the people at Kiesel, and said, that's great. But no, we were thinking more like, we'll pay for you to come out and do a clinic. So I will be there doing a clinic. So the stuff is all to be announced. Right. So you guys know, it's a free clinic. I'm sure it's going to be like an hour long. It's going to be a little freeform and a little bit on subject. Right. So we'll keep it easy. The importance of it is that they're trying not to have filming there. So that they want the event to be a personal in-person event, kind of make it for people who came out and stuff. My guess is that they can't stop that people will have their phones and film stuff. So if people film it, and stuff, and it happens. But I have no intention to film if they don't want people filming. If they have if they are okay with it, I'll film the clinic and put it out. If they just want to keep it private, I understand that. So so you understand this. This is Larry Mitchell, as you know, is a great good friend of the channel, great friend of me, and a super talented, obviously, Grammy-winning producer, amazing guitar player. He does clinics all the time, and he asks that people don't film his clinics. And I asked him about this once, and he was very upfront about it. I said, it's interesting. I said, why don't you film your clinics and put them out? And he said, that what he's learned is that when you film that kind of stuff and you put it out, although that's great that people get to see it that aren't there, what happens though is later when people come to your events, they focus only on filming you, and the ones that aren't filming you, they've already seen like your shtick. He didn't say shtick, but you get the idea. They've heard your stories. They've seen your thing, right? And he says it just takes away from the moment, and he's just trying to have a moment with a bunch of people at an event. So I think that's kind of what they're going after for here too. So I'm just letting you guys know. So I have to be aware. But like I said, I will be there for sure. I will be doing a clinic. I'll be there handing out waters. If they let me, I'll do it still. I don't care. Whatever they need. Like I said, I'll take out the trash. So it's like, I don't want to be useless all day. So there you go. So there you go. And I'll be there. And of course I'll be with, showing guitars and stuff. That's a good segue to something that came in this week. That's an interesting question. And the question was, Phil, they noticed, now sounds like it's going to be a Kiesel question. It's not. They said they noticed that I have this copper penny Delos here, which obviously is a Strat style guitar. It's just a Strat, right? Okay. And if you were following on some of my videos and you're following me on social media, or following some of the things I do on social media, you know that I have that exact same guitar as a Headless, okay? And this is not a model that you can just buy like that one. However, you can order this one. So I'm just telling you guys so you understand. If you want basically a Delos that's spec'd out with my color and my wiring and stuff, but Headless, you would have to contact Kiesel on the phone, just like you did before we had a SKU for that one, and just say, hey, I want a Delos, and I want it in copper penny metallic, and I want the wiring like Phil McKnight has his wiring done. So that's not the question. The question has nothing to do with the two guitars. The question was, first, they wanted to know what I thought about having the exact same guitar, Headless and with a head on it. And I said, okay. I did respond, and I let them know I am going to be doing a video comparing the two. And so that's something I want to talk about. The other thing they said was, why? They asked me why I think Fender guitars and Gibson and Paul Reed Smith don't make a headless guitar. But more importantly, the question that I thought was interesting, it hit me like a ton of bricks, by the way. I was like, I couldn't stop thinking about this question when I was drinking coffee. I was supposed to be talking to my wife about something, and I was interrupting her like, you gotta hear this question. The question was, how come Fender? So basically, understand what Kiesel did. They took a Delos, which is essentially a Fender, right? Or a copy of a Silver Sky, however you want to do it, and a copy of a Fender, and they made a headless version of it. So what I like about this guitar, the Headless, is it's the same guitar. They feel the same to me. They're identical. The necks feel identical. Everything feels identical. Like I said, holding it like this, you would think it's the same guitar, but it's identical in the way it plays and the way it sounds. I know it's kind of giving away too much out of the video coming, but comparison-wise, I mean, the pickups are like 90% of the sound is the pickups and stuff. So it's essentially the same pickup, same wiring. It's going to sound the same. The question is, why doesn't Fender do something like that? They thought that was interesting. They said, basically, here's a company like Kiesel, and what they're doing is they're making headless versions, like they just made a headless version of their guitar. And I was like, oh yeah, it's really interesting. And at face value, I was like, yeah, why doesn't Fender do that or Gibson do that? And I started thinking, yeah, that's really interesting because look how expensive travel guitars are. I've reviewed almost every travel guitar on the market on the channel, and travel guitars are extremely expensive, right? I mean, there are very few travel guitars that are, $100, $200. Most travel guitars are $700, $800. And I started thinking, going, yeah, if I like my Delos, so to me, when I asked Kiesel, can I have a headless version of it so I can travel with it and use it when I'm, around the house and on the couch and stuff? They were like, yeah, we'll make you one. I'm like, cool. And now that I've had it, it's been amazing. The idea that if I could have a Gibson Les Paul and then a headless Gibson Les Paul, but not because it broke off, because it's like a headless guitar, or a Fender Strat headless, or a Paul Reed Smith Custom 24 headless, but same neck profile, same pickup, same guitar. And that could be my travel style guitar, have two versions of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a very luxurious thing to have, but it's still amazing. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks why it doesn't exist. So I'm going to tell you what I think. This is crazy. So hear me out. I think Fender, especially Fender, Gibson definitely too, but especially Fender, and then Paul Reed Smith III, they're never going to make a headless version of their guitar. Never. Mark my words. If I'm wrong, I will eat the crow like I have done when I'm wrong on the show. I've been wrong a few times, right? We're all just shooting from the hip and talking. It's water cooler talk, right? But here is why I think Fender, even though I think it's genius, if Fender basically could make a headless version of the Fender Strat or Tele, I think it would be gangbusters. And then you start thinking, going, yeah, right. And they can make it in Mexico and they can make it for sub $1,000. It would be huge, right? It would be huge. And it's not hard to do, by the way. There are companies that actually make conversion kits that convert guitars that have headstocks to headless. And then it hit me, this is why Fender won't do it. Because, so you know, I've talked about this many times before, the Fender body shape, the Strat body shape, the Tele body shape, the P-Bass shape are public domain. Fender does not control them anymore. That's not a trademark control. And we already know that Gibson lost the lawsuit with the single cut against Paul Reed Smith. Okay, and that was a lawsuit. That was a fight, all out, brawl out. Paul Reed Smith told me in a group of other people once, this is years ago. I mean, he thought he was going to lose his company, just spending millions of dollars fighting Gibson. I mean, it was a fight for the death. He's like he said. And so here's what's funny. In the lawsuit against Paul Reed Smith, it's basically the same lawsuit style issue as Fender. In the lawsuit against Paul Reed Smith, it basically was decided that the headstock, intellectual property, the headstock, the trademark, the look of the guitar was the headstock. Fender, we already know the bodies are public domain. So again, the trademark is the headstock. Even Charvel, who's owned by Fender, if you buy one, says this headstock is licensed by Fender because of an old lawsuit that was settled or taken care of years and years and years ago with Fender. So if Fender made a headless guitar, it could immediately be copied by everyone. Well, hell, it's already kind of is. I mean, what is this? This is basically a Fender headless guitar. That's what Kiesel made. I mean, Kiesel basically made a Fender Strat there, but with their headstock, right? Silver Sky, right? Basically a version of the Fender Strat, but with the PRS headstock. And so I started laughing, going, oh my God, these companies are screwed. Innovation, look, I really believe this. You want to talk about innovation in the future? People talk about where we're going to be in 10 years, 10, 20 years. I'm going to get in so much trouble right now because what I'm going to say. So, because I'm not supposed to tell you. All right, I didn't ask. My buddy Larry Mitchell, who is amazing, as you know, he's a Nags player. He's an amazing guy, amazing talent. He even asked me, first thing he asked me when he saw my headless guitar was, he's like, how do you like it? I go, it's great. He knew I took this guitar to the Grand Canyon. This is true. I took this guitar to the Grand Canyon, and then I took it to, in order, I took it to San Diego, then I took it to the Grand Canyon, then I took it to Hawaii, and then I took it back. And he goes, how did it hold up? I go, I didn't even tune it. It's true. I swear. I didn't tune it. In fact, I didn't have the Allen wrenches or anything. I realized I forgot them because I was like, oh crap, if I break a string, I'm screwed. And I didn't have to even tune the guitar. It's that stable because the neck, it's shorter and it's obviously, there's nothing to bump. You throw it in the gig bag. It was, it took all the abuse from the plane, the car, right? The truck, the heat, the cold, the humidity. I mean, I'm in Arizona. I went from Hawaii was like 85% humidity. Arizona was like 5% humidity, right? And he goes, I think I need to get one of those for travel. And I'm like, yeah. And so that's what I'm not supposed to say. I'm not supposed to say, but he's looking at getting a headless Delos for travel. So here's, Jim plus Tess says, was it a carry on? Let's pen that. I will tell you that in a second, but let's not lose track of this part of this conversation. So if Fender made a headless guitar, that would be fantastic. Because I think the future of guitars, sure, if you think modeling and profiling is the future of technology, which we all kind of agree it's getting there. It's there, it's kick-ass. It's literally headless guitars. I know people have a trouble with the look, but if you haven't played a headless guitar, it is very liberating. I mean, it's easy, it's convenient, it's comfortable, right? You can take them anywhere. I mean, it just feels great. And the idea to me, the only thing better than a headless guitar is having a headless version of a guitar you actually love already. Like I said, it's having 2 versions so that you can have one more traditional and one a little bit more modernized. And like I said, Paul Reed Smith, there's no way they're going to chop off that trademark, because then they would just have a PRS body that you could copy with a headless guitar. Everyone would be able to copy. There'd be no way to stop them. And the look of their guitars wouldn't be unique, because, like I said, that's not what the unique part has been decided by the industry. Think about this. The whole entire industry has basically decided that the headstock is the intellectual property. It's why all acoustics, like all dreadnoughts, look exactly the same. Remember, Martin invented the dreadnought. There's no confusion about that, okay? So when you go to a music store now, I mean, freaking, I can't even guess. I would say 80%, I'm being nice. 80% of the acoustic guitars in the acoustic room at any music store you go to, it can be dreadnoughts. That's a Martin design, absolutely, right? But Martin has a paddle headstock, and that's the intellectual property. That's what they defend. They don't defend the shape of the guitar. They defend the shape of the headstock. In fact, that's why if you look at companies like Godin, who make a great guitars, they have a brand called Norman, and you don't see them very often in the US. They're mostly in Canada. And if you Google Norman acoustics right now, you're going to see a big paddle headstock. And that's why Siegel acoustics, you see them in the United States and other countries where Martin is really heavy in the trademarking, because the Siegel headstock is far from that. So a Siegel and a Norman are almost the same acoustic guitar. It's just basically, right? They just have different headstocks, and they do that for that legality reasons. So it's crazy. So this easy question is, hey, Phil, do you think Fender, Gibson, and PRS will ever make a headless guitar like Ormsby's doing, like Kiesel's doing? Like, you know, I'm trying to pick up like companies like Strandberg who are only doing headless, but I'm talking about brands who are literally reaching into doing headless guitars. Ibanez has a headless guitar now, right? And I'm like, and Ibanez has an intellectual property headstock, but I really think, especially Fender, but then also Gibson and PRS, and probably in that order, Fender, Gibson, and PRS, those 3 companies, it would be interesting to see the challenge they're going to have to fight if they decide to basically take the right? That's the soul of their intellectual property, is the look of their headstock. I mean, their logo, right? Their headstock. Literally going to cut that off with a saw? It's crazy. And so literally, how is that going to go forward? How are they going to go forward in a world where headless guitars are gaining so fast? Because, you know, first, look, most players, older players think they're ugly, either because they were traumatized by the Steinberger stuff in the 80s and they were like, they're like, I'm not getting that haircut again, and I'm not getting that guitar again, or they just didn't like them in the beginning. And like I said, so there's really, the older players are really not into the headless guitars. Younger players definitely into headless guitars. I mean, it's as predominant as, you know, anything else in their eyes. You know, you look at younger players, but players out there that know, okay, they've been playing. If you've played headless guitars, you know they take a beating. They are beautiful instruments when it comes to the amount of crazy things you can do to them. Like I said, because, you know, you're making it smaller because there's not as much wood for the neck. And of course, no tuning keys, the stability of the bridges. It's just a really easy way to make a guitar. And it's really cool, right? And they've redesigned some of the problems that were some of the problems in the beginning. Some of you guys, I had a viewer a few weeks ago say a comment about one of my headless guitars, and obviously they just didn't know that things have changed, okay? So they said, oh, I would get a headless guitar, but I hate doing the double ball ends. For you younger folk, you probably don't know this, but originally when they had headless guitars, they had a ball end on one side of the string, and then you had to have custom strings that had ball ends on the other side. That's not how it works now. Now it's essentially just a clamp system. See, see if I can show you this right there. You can see there's little Allen wrenches right there. The string goes through and it clamps right there. And then the way this guitar is designed, there's nothing poking out. You know, obviously I wouldn't do that if it could hurt me. So that's essentially as easy as it can, you know, it's as easy as it is. So you can use any strings on a headless guitar, whether it's a Strandberg, whether it's an Ormsby, whether it's a Kiesel, whatever. I mean, it's super easy. You just pull it through, lock it, cut it off. I mean, it's super fast. It tunes up in minutes. And some people don't like the way the bridges turn, and I understand that. Strandberg had, if you go watch my podcast with Strandberg, Ola said the original models were really difficult. He's definitely upgraded them. I'll attest to the newer ones are a lot better. The Hipshot stuff that Kiesel's using, the Hipshot branded stuff seems to be the best to me for what I like. But it's all pretty good. But yeah, and then Fast Freddy 333 says my Spirit of Steinberg, Spirit being the model Steinberger, still uses the double ball ends. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I once talked to the guys at D'Addario who said they still have to make double ball ends because there's all these guitars that still exist out there that have double ball ends. And now, of course, Gibson owns Steinberger, and they're continuing to make them that way, I believe. I believe the new ones are double ball ends. I didn't look when I just saw some recently. And somebody said, no neck dive. Yeah, no kidding. So interesting, right? It's an interesting discussion. At least I think it is. And in fact, you can see I got excited about it because, like I said, it's one of those things that hit me like a wall. Like, wow, I never thought about that. Yeah, certain brands are going to want to stay totally away from a style of design. So, and to me, it would be like I think Fender would crush with headless guitars. I think a lot of players out there, if you made a Mexican headless Strat, made Mexico headless Strat, I think players might be happy with their first guitar. Give it a try. Not even a Squier. I mean, a Squier even better. I think it's for me, I didn't really enjoy the headless concept until I found the Delos. And the reason is because it felt like a normal guitar to me. Some of the other ones were a little weird. The Steinberg ones are really cool, but again, they're out there. It's kind of it's an acquired taste. I love my Steinberg, but it's an acquired taste. You're not just going to pick it up and feel it, and go, yeah, it's normal. So interesting. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Put comments down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think they're going to do it. That's the real question. Do you think Gibson, Paul Reed Smith, and Fender, the big three, since we already know Ibanez is up there, they're pretty big. Ibanez has done it. Do you think they'll ever go headless? Right? Even if an artist. And actually where the epiphany came from was in that Kiesel walkthrough, the factory walkthrough. I don't know if some of you guys saw that. He mentioned that what did he mention? He mentioned the guitar player from Deftones, who's still with ESP, has a headless version with Kiesel. So even though he's with ESP, he's still going to be with ESP, but he's going to do a headless version, Kiesel coming out. And then what was the other guitar player? The other guitar player was, who's the other guitar player who does Framus? Why am I having trouble with this? So we're seeing this, and so this brought me to my buddy Larry, who basically has his own signature Nags. He's the reason I own a Nags, is because I loved his Nags so much, and he plays Nags. He has no interest in not playing his Nags, but he's even thinking like, oh well, maybe one headless guitar for a quick turnaround date, right? Just carry it on, throw in the overhead of the airplane, and just go. I have a headless guitar for a quick. So you can see the artists definitely thinking this way. Look at all the artists now. Look at their logic. Thank you, Billing Tano. Billing Tano says Stephen Carpenter from the Deftones, and Unfreaking Believable said Devin Townsend. Devin Townsend, of course, is the other one who's got he's using the Leia, the Leia headless guitar Kiesel, even though he's still got his Framus. And so when Larry reached out to me and said, hey man, I'm thinking about getting a headless Delos, what do you think of it? Kind of like travel wise. Cause I think what he's doing is he's thinking the same way, like a fly date. The same reason we're seeing artists all of a sudden going Kempers and Axe Effects and all this stuff, right? They're like, hey, look, in the new Fender modeling unit, right? The whole idea is like, I'm not bringing all these amps, right? I got a fly date. I'm just going to take my rig, a portable rig with my sounds, or this is the shipping costs. It could be a big deal. Now, I pinned somebody during this discussion, and I forgot the name, so I apologize, because it was two names, but I'm answering your question right now. Again, I apologize. The question is, when I flew with the headless Delos, did I check it or did I carry it on the plane? I carried it on the plane. So what I did is, and this is what I've learned to do with the headless guitar, is because it fits in the overhead no problem, okay? What I do, and you don't have to do it the way I do it. I'm just telling you the way I do it, okay? When I go to the airport and I check my luggage, because I usually check a bag, but it's up to you if you're going to do that. When I check them, I tell the person there, because I have the guitar on my shoulder, which they don't even care, but I'm just telling you what I do. I say, I'm going to gate check this, okay? So they go, oh, okay. That way they don't even ask me because I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about whether I'm checking it or carrying on the plane. They don't need to know. I'm just like, I'm going to gate check this. And they go, okay. And for those of you that don't know what gate check means, it means that you're going to take it all the way to the plane. Like a person with a stroller and a wheelchair, they will, obviously, you take your kid with a stroller all the way to the gate, and then you check it at the gate. And as a courtesy, they take it and they put it on the plane last, and then they pull off the plane first. So when you get off the plane, obviously you need your wheelchair and your stroller. So that's what I tell them. When I go to get on the plane, I just walk on the plane and put it on the overhead. If they say anything like, hey, there's no room, we're over, we got over too much luggage because maybe you're too far back in the rows and stuff, or whatever happens that, the plane's is full, then you can gate check it. And so in my particular case, the Kiesel gig bag, the guys at Kiesel told me I could throw it off a second story building. So I figured, they told me that personally. So I figured, well, if I gate check it and it gets destroyed, I'm gonna I'll just tell them, right? I'll tell them and they'll have to take care of it or something, because I'm like, that's what they said. So, but I've never had to gate check it. So, every time I got on the plane, I just put it on the plane and it works perfect. And it works great for me because I usually, you can't check all your lithium batteries and stuff. So I keep all my lithium batteries and stuff in my guitar gig bag. That's how I do it. So that's how you can do it. And like I said, you can, if you have a full-size guitar, you can do the same exact thing. You can say you're going to gate check the guitar, and then full-size guitar in a case, and then again, try to put it on the plane. If it fits an overhead, great. If it doesn't, you can ask to put it in the closet, the pilot's closet. And sometimes they'll let you do that. And if you can't do that, at least you get to gate check it. And if you're in a pretty decent case, you got to understand, like, it's going on the plane last and it's coming off first. So it's going to be a little safer. That's how I did that. But, so there you go. All right. So thank you guys for indulging me on that conversation. Please, I hope you guys put comments on, especially on the replay of this video. I'm really interested in this idea that what is a company going to do, right? If they can't, and Fender would be easy. They could just put the Fender logo like right here, right? Just put Fender right there. Just put the Fender logo here. It doesn't need to be on the headstock, but I don't think that's what it's about for them. I think, like I said, I'll call them out. Well, they won't watch this. They don't care about this show. But hey, Fender, if you make a headless guitar, I'll tell you what I'll do. How crazy this. This is for Fender, for Gibson, and Paul Reed Smith. Barring some crazy, I'm not doing no crazy, master built $20,000 guitar. So that's not practical. But here's what I will tell you guys. If any one of those three companies, right? Probably all three, to be honest with you, but anyone, especially the first one, any one of those companies make a production headless guitar, I will absolutely promise right now I will buy one and review it on the channel. I will definitely put it on the channel. They won't care about that. They're not, I'm nobody. But I'm just telling you guys. I'm actually telling you guys. That's where how excited I am with this idea. If they actually do it, I will do it. If any one of those companies make a headless guitar, I would definitely. But and in that video, I will eat crow and say I was wrong. They totally proved me wrong. They made it. But I have a feeling all three companies are going to stay away from the idea of taking a saw to the intellectual property part of the guitar and letting that fall on the factory floor, and then seeing where this takes them, just to basically get a few younger players. But I think they would all get. I think it would rock. I don't know about you guys, man. I think if Gibson made a headless Gibson guitar, I think every guy would want to, every person would want a Gibson that loves Gibson will have the Gibson, the traditional style Gibson, and then just one with a headless, just because that would be the one they really play. So, all right. Stephen Russell says headless version with a magnetic clip-on headstock to make it. You know what's funny about that? I make that joke all the time that everybody should make like little wooden headstocks for the headless guitars that just plug in the hole, like just plug it on there and just because some people just they can't get past the way this looks. I understand, man. This is like, it's just weird. But I can tell you, man, if I told you guys all the time I'm dumb as hell. So if I was smart, I just have headless guitars now. They play and sound great. I don't know what I get out of having more. It's just more. They're easier to play. They stay in tune. They sound great. Just, part of it is like I don't know. I still like, traditional looking guitars. That's where it is. So, okay. Casey Lee says, where do I clip my snark? It's a good question. Do I have? So I don't have a snark because obviously this guitar was right next to me because this is, like I said, I played the Headless ones right before the show and stuff. The snarks, this is the D'Addario one, which I like a little bit better for Headless guitars. Okay, this particular one. This one's $30, so it's not cheap. I just do that. So there you go. It's right on there. No problems. The snark will do it too, so you know. But I like the D'Addario one for my Headless guitars. And it clips onto my Strandbergs as well too. I have no problem with that. So, and this is rechargeable just like the snark ones. So there you go. So I use the snark ones, and then I have, and I bought this when I was on vacation. So there you go. All right. Here's the last snark. Okay. I'm not old Vince says, really, Phil, you don't have a snark? Oh, I have a ton of them. They're all literally behind the headstocks, all these guitars. But like I said, right next to me at this desk, I have Headless guitars. That's what I have because that's what like I said, I play them because you pick them up and they're in tune. It's really nice. So, okay. James Nicholson says, Phil, how many guitars do you think you would own if you didn't do YouTube? 10. Maybe 12. Maybe 12. Probably 10. 10 for sure. Because that's essentially what I had. I mean, think of this. I had when I had a store, you could say I had all the guitars, right? Because it was my store. But if you watch the videos when I had a store, I probably had about 10, 12 guitars at home because, I was around them all day. Same now. Like I said, I probably have 10 or 12. There's 10 or 12 guitars that just speak to me a little special and they're, something. But it's not just because I review guitars and they're here, and it's not because companies send them and stuff. It's like I said, I've received some really interesting gifts. I'm going to do a video. I'm doing a video for fun for Christmas. I did one a couple years ago, and I thought it'd be cool to do an update one. I don't know if it's going to be my 5 or my 3 or my 10. It's going to be whatever it is, the number. But let's just say 5. My 5 weirdest guitars. I did this video before, but I have some really weird guitars now. So I thought, and interestingly enough, what I learned is when I was writing down the list of the guitars, working this video out, going, this will be interesting. I realized like almost all my weird guitars were gifts from friends, from, people in the industry for something. So I was like, oh, wow, these are weird guitars. And I literally have them because of gifts. And they are weird. I don't play. It won't be a clickbait where it's like weird guitars. And I'll be like, this one comes in a rare color. Like it's going to be like, this has 38 strings. And this one has a laser that shoots, right? Like they're crazy guitars that I've accumulated that are weird. So there you go. Oh, Brian says, which Lego set are you doing for Christmas? Brian, we're not. I didn't even think about it, buddy. What's funny, so you guys know, for every year, my wife and kids do a Lego set. I buy the Lego sets, and then I drink wine, and they put them together. That's how it works. And I didn't do it. My kids, basically moved out. So we're empty nesters. They've. What's great is I say they've grown up and moved away, but they've grown up and moved away. But they did what I love. I'm super happy. They both live literally. They can walk here. I can walk there in 10 minutes. Like they're here, right? But my daughter obviously is going to college and she's working all the time. She works like 6 days a week and she goes to college. So we see them a lot throughout the week, but it's like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Sometimes they come in the middle of the night. We wake up in the middle of the night hearing cabinets. We know they came through because you see the door. You see the cameras and stuff at the door. But yeah, so I didn't think about getting them because, we don't know what activities are going on. And we're having, Christmas got a little issue going. We have some family issues, some close family relatives, health issues and stuff. So Christmas got a little cannibalized, so to speak. We're not doing it really like we were going to do it before. So I might look into that. Maybe Legos will be a nice way to kind of bring it back together. Okay. Okay. Yes, so we go like fridge raid. Yes. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Okay. Let's do another guitar question. We have Locks Sustainer says, "Hey Phil, love your podcast. Thank you so much for saying so. I'm wanting to remove the finish on my 70s Strat clone and redo it with True Oil. Any tips on how you would approach this?" So again, like I always say, I'm not a finish guy, but I have removed a lot of finishes on guitars. You said, hold on, let me refresh this. You said you didn't say what kind of Strat style guitar. Your 70s Strat clone. So Strat clone. So I'm going to assume it's a polyurethane finish. It could be polyester or but I'm pretty sure it's polyurethane. It's just not lacquer, which means it's going to be thick. It's going to be a pain. And so what I would really recommend is going online. I know this is like the worst advice ever. Basically, you just super chat a YouTuber to tell you, I'm going to tell you go to other YouTubers. There are a ton of videos out there where they show you where they use a heat gun and they kind of just remove the finish off these guitars. When I did it, I always did it with I just took a power sander and removed all the finish the old-fashioned way. And I don't recommend it. It creates a huge mess. And I haven't removed finish on a guitar in probably 10 years. You know what I mean? So when I was doing it before, there wasn't really like a whole lot of plethora of like how-to videos like on that. But there's probably now 50 good YouTube videos of people removing finish off guitars, showing you how to do that. I would definitely search for those. And what's nice is the community usually speaks up, so a bunch of them will probably point out a few videos there too. But like I said, good luck with that. So you know, if you want, I know. Here's the deal. I want to give you my real, like what I really think you should do. But I saw that you super chatted me in AUD, which I'm pretty sure is Australian. So pretty much my answer isn't going to help you, which is definitely just get a new body, get an unfinished body. You can get look. I'm all for sweat equity, right? But sometimes it's tough. You know what I mean? It's tough to go, okay, I'm going to basically do all this work to this body. It's going to take up, 10 hours of labor. And you can buy, for a Strat clone body, you can buy an unfinished Strat body for $50, ready to go. Primered and ready, or just unfinished. So you can put the True Oil on it. But I know you understand, because here's the bad news. You can't apply True Oil to that guitar until you're down to the wood, and it's going to be hard. It's you got to get all that finish off, and then essentially what's going to happen, which sucks, is even when you think you got it all off, you're going to be applying that True Oil, and all of a sudden it won't stick. It won't absorb into the wood because you're going to have a couple spots. It's a nightmare. Plus, you don't know what's underneath that body. You can have a 5-piece wood body, and I've seen it all, man. They may not even be the same kinds of wood. You could have they definitely won't be the same colors. So I don't want to discourage you, but I want you to be aware of what's coming out. Like I said, if you can, like I personally will also recommend maybe just sanding it down and then just painting it a new color, taking it down to wood's painting ass for this kind of stuff. But best of luck. Let me know how it goes. Music Therapy Last says, for the holiday growler, I know it has gluten. Sorry, Shauna. Yeah, it's funny. I haven't done the growlers in a long time. So maybe it is time for a growler. I'll make sure to go to the right place. Okay, Mr. S says, how well do Headless stay in tune compared to regular guitars, compared to Evertune? They're always in tune. Okay, so Evertune is the same thing. It's always in tune. They're always in tune. Evertune, I would say, is more so. I mean, Evertune is like literally, it's a mechanism. Just if you watch that video, I mean, you can't knock it out of tune for the most part. So I mean, Evertune is just as good as the concept of guaranteeing that you're in tune, but it's not really travel-y. You know what I mean? So the Headless adds the travel aspect. Also, not only that travel aspect, but again, portability. Like I said, you can put it on the couch. Downfall Headless, though, is they're harder to hang on the wall. So that's the thing you want to do. But I mean, if it's, but Evertune, in my experience, because like I said, I've done the video now of Evertune, and I went through that guitar thoroughly, and the Evertunes are legit. They're as legit as everybody claims. Amazing. So the other, no, I'm gonna leave it there. I was gonna say, I think maybe the Evertunes probably had I think add sustain, because I felt the guitar sustained actually better with Evertune, but either way is good. Steven says headless version with a magnetic clip-on headstock to make it look standard. Made a Balsa Hollywood, for a Christmas bonus chat. Yeah, like a fake headstock would be huge. Ariella says, would Badlands make a headless guitar? I'm gonna say no. Isn't that funny? No, because remember the Badlands thing, is to bring 80s era guitars back in the way that they were made in the 80s, using kind of the same way that they were made. So CNC, but not the most advanced CNC, where basically, to get the vibe right. The Badlands guitars, this is where the downfall of the business model is, of course, right? It's not only trying to recreate an 80s era guitar, but it's trying to create an 80s era guitar that someone who had an 80s era guitar or played 80s era guitars, when they pick it up, they go, this is it. This is what it feels like. It feels like this. It's got the same kind of, quirks to it. It's got the same kind of, quality to it. It's got the same things going on. So it's really about grabbing that and bringing that. If you guys saw, we leaked that we have some prototypes, and some of them have stainless steel. We're calling that new school and old school. We're flirting with at least modernizing some things. Obviously, we want to make the guitar quality, so quality truss rods, stuff. But headless, I wouldn't say never. But it would have to be an 80s headless, so it'd be like a Steinberger kind of thing. Or maybe, I think there was a headless Kramer. Maybe we can go into that. But I just don't see a headless being, a huge thing. What's really interesting, Ariel, since you brought this up, something happened this week that was really interesting, at least to me. So let me show you guys this. So a bunch of y'all. Oh my goodness, I had no idea it was that much. Okay, a bunch of y'all. Oh no. Oh, no close-up pictures. Interesting. Okay, a bunch of y'all, I'm saying it that way, a bunch of y'all emailed me this week and said, did you see the new Lizzie Hale Voyager guitar? And I did, because you guys said, did you check it out? Brian sent me one too. Thank you, Brian. And so here it is. This is the Lizzie Hale Voyager Diamond Holographic Sparkle with Case Kramer guitar, $14.99. I was curious where it's made. Most of the Kramers are made in Indonesia. This one's not saying where it's made. I'm curious if it's China. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Indonesia, because that's where they're making the other ones. But a guitar like this, they might want to keep the pricing, because the finish is it's an expensive sparkle finish, and of course it's a lot of pieces of wood and stuff. Why I'm showing you this, one, just to show you the new Lizzie Hale guitar, because I'm a huge fan of Lizzie Hale. As you guys know, I reviewed the Lizzie Hale Epiphone, her white one, which is really cool. This guitar is really interesting because of what she said. She said something in the interview when she was on Ola England's show. She was having with coffee with Ola, and in the video of the interview, she said, hey, they did this diamond sparkle finish. There it is. It's hard to zoom in on it, which is really cool. And she said they wanted to look 80s. Obviously, this is a very 80s looking guitar. And she said, we wanted to do the hollow, like the hollow flash, the holographic guitar, but they couldn't do it because it's dangerous, right? It's like dangerous. She doesn't really explain why. She just says it's like dangerous. Like, basically it's like, what do you call it? It's dangerous. Basically, I think it's the word she used. She might have used another word. It's not safe, right? Which is interesting. So funny enough, that obviously Badlands did the hollow flash guitar. We have the hollow flash right there. We had mentioned this, that we had did the hollow flash, but we had to update it for modern times. So we brought back the hollow flash, and in fact, you know what? I'm going to get it. Hold on a second. So let me do this. All right. So here it is. Very flashy, hollow flashy. This hollow flash is what she was basically talking about. They wanted to bring back this because, I mean, Kramer, you know, this is the guitar. This is this Badlands. I mean, this is hell. It's inspired by Kramer. Hell, we were trying to make, like literally, Gibson Kramer just said what we were saying. Lizzie Hale said it for them, right? Oh, everybody says she said hazardous. Thank you. This is important. This is important. This guitar exists, and we said we made this guitar because Kramer didn't. Because the old 80s companies like Kramer and BC Rich and Jackson, they're not bringing back the old looks and the old guitars like we remember, and not doing it the way we remember, and not doing it in the USA. Because again, we want we want the thing we wanted when we were 16. What's interesting is, even though we brought back this finish, we told you we had to redo the finish. We had to do it with a new clear coat. We had to do it a new way. The company Hollow Flash helped us refine this. So we said we did it because they wouldn't. We did it because they couldn't. We did it because they didn't. And here they are saying they can't, and they're not. I couldn't be more beside myself from that. I was just amazed to hear it. Now, I know the real answer, by the way. Here's the real answer. And I don't think Lizzie Hale would know the answer because she's an artist and she's not a guitar manufacturer. This totally can be done. It just can't be done inexpensively, and it can't be done in a huge volume, which is why we were limited to 100 pieces. Look, same thing. You know, it's a foil. This isn't the finish. So you guys know when she said it's hazardous, the foil itself, I mean, hell, Paduke wood is dangerous when you sand it. You can die from it. You can get in your lungs. But once it's sanded, obviously Nuno Bittencourt is not dying playing a Paduke guitar. So you can play guitars with Paduke on it and stuff. Same with this. You can Henning Pauly from could lick this guitar if he wanted to. He would not die, I promise. This isn't going to do anything because it's covered in a clear coat, which is something they weren't doing back in the 80s. They were letting the foil exposed, and they were doing it in different ways because of the fact that because the clear coat really messed up the reflective properties of the finish. And like I said, I'd love to sit there and tell you and we figured it out because we're geniuses. We didn't figure out anything. We literally just went to buy some Hollow Flash, and the company Hollow Flash said, hey, we can help you make it better now. We're like, oh, good. And then they did it for us. So we did it. And that proves what we were saying, that it is a hard finish to do. I would imagine that they could have made the Lizzie Hale guitar out of the Hollow Flash, but my guess is $1,500 for an import guitar. It would have to be done in a lower run, smaller run. It would be a lot more expensive. Even if it was made in Indonesia, it'd probably be $2,000-$3,000. Obviously, if they want $1,500 for that finish, which is a very expensive finish, it would be more expensive. So we did it. And that was, I know this is, again, long-winded, but I just want you to understand, this isn't to plug Badlands. I don't have anything to sell you guys for Badlands, okay? There's no guitars to sell you, okay? The point is to tell you what the mission statement was, which is why, think about this, I have a signature arrangement with Kiesel. PRS is Cinema Guitars. These companies don't look at us as competition. What we're making is a very unique, small, niche guitar that no one seems to be interested in making. And we're trying to make it affordable for a few people who think it's cool and that want to do this with us, take this little road with us. It'll never be this huge production thing because we can't, right? It's not about like, oh, yeah, we say that now, but wait till later. We just can't. So same with the Headless guitar. I don't know if it would do that because, like I said, what we're really focused on is exactly what we said. Trying to bring a guitar to market for those middle-aged people who felt like they missed out and don't want to pay $3,000, $4,000 for a chipped up, beat up one on reverb and hope that it works out. So there you go. So really cool. So it was a really cool week. That was cool. And like I said, I still love that Kramer one, by the way. That one's badass as hell. That would be definitely one I would own. So it's just cool. And I love that finish. As you guys know, I'm really big into the heavy sparkle finishes. My buddy Brian owns Paint Huffer, and my flake finish guitar is one of my favorite guitars, and they're expensive. So there you go. Pete Brown says, hey, Phil, do you still sell any more KYG merch? We do. There's a link down below to get it, and it's just limited right now what we have. We're getting there. I say that all the time. I don't know. We'll get there. Okay. Alan's Guitar Channel says, hey, Alan, what's up? He says, not looking forward to when import guitars are 2K. They're already there. Strandbergs are 2K, 3K. There are import guitars that are there, 2K. It's coming, you know. It's you know, hell, they're already at $1,500 all day. It's coming. If it's not already there, it's coming. So, the good news is this: there's still great guitars for $300. Like I said, this is a luxury item. You know, if you want to buy a nice guitar that's crazy expensive, and that, you know, and you have the ability to do that, or the insanity to do that, I was talking to a friend the other day, and we were talking about our passion in the industry, and he obviously is a very talented person, way more talented than me. Anyways, talented guitar player in the industry, well-known guitar player, and we were talking about our passion, and I made the comment that, you know, this has been my passion since high school, right? You know, and I said, this is true, absolutely true story, what I'm going to say, and kind of dumb to admit, but it's true. As you guys know, I've been married now for 25 years, and obviously 25 years of marriage. Before that, we were together for like 5 years, and then before that, we were friends, right? So either way, long time, been a long time with this lovely woman. However, just to give you an idea of what she's had to deal with, there was a time in our life where the end tables in our front room of our apartment were my bass cabinets and my PA cabinets. I'm messing this up. The end tables were my PA cabinets, and our coffee table was my bass cabinet. This is an absolute true story, that when I would go to a gig, she would have nowhere to put a plate if she wanted to eat, like while watching TV or anything, because half our furniture was my guitar gear turned into furniture. Like I had expensive bass cabinets and I had no furniture. And I told him this, and he was laughing because he could relate, and he was telling me a story that was like that. And I said, I almost can't love or be friends, a deep friendship with anyone that doesn't understand what I'm saying when I say this. Like, I know what I'm saying is stupid, but you understand that stupidity that I have, it's so important to me that if you can't relate to like, I once, you know, I once skipped, you know, whatever, I don't know. I once didn't eat dinner to buy guitar strings. Like, if you don't understand that concept, I don't know how to, I kind of get it across. So it's a passion thing is what I'm trying to say. But yes, it was really cool. All right. So now you guys all know bass cabinets make good furniture. All right. Mr. S says Ned Steinberger, Ola Strandberg, and 2 luthiers did a panel on headless guitars at Last NAMM. Really interesting. You know, I started watching that. I didn't finish, and I think it's because I was probably like on an airport somewhere watching it. I need to finish it. I will find it and tag it because I'm very interested. Like I said, Ola Strandberg is one of the most interesting guys I've ever interviewed on this podcast. He's on my second channel. And so, you know, he's not my favorite person I interviewed, but most interesting because he really did kind of, I feel akin to him in the idea that I kind of like wandered through my life through this stuff. He did the same thing. Like I didn't have a clear mission to do anything. I was just doing things and things would happen. He did the same thing. Like think of this, he came up with this amazing guitar, like almost on accident. You know, the whole thing was an accident. So it's really cool. A great video, but super smart. That's where we're not the same. He's super smart. So Steven says Fender could call their special the Sleepy Hollow. Yeah, that's nice. Like Okay. Let me see real quick. Amanda threw out a couple of these. Okay, Steven says, got a PRS SE soap bar single cut this week, used for a really good price. Only issue is that the bridge in it looks like chrome is peeling off. What could that be, and could you fix it? Sure. I mean, it could be a simple. I mean, it's an SE, so the bridges, they don't really, it's a price. It's obviously they're trying to hit a price point. So the bridge, I mean, I don't know if there's a way to fix it. I would replace it. I know I'm not a big replacing person. As you guys know, I like repair. I like to be able to fix something and bring something back. But I don't know, aside from sandblasting it, all the chrome off and taking it back to natural finish, the natural metal and stuff. I mean, I would just get a new one and put it in and upgrade it. And you could find them all day really inexpensively, That's a great thing. Parts aren't super expensive anymore. If you're not replacing, crazy custom shop guitars. I mean, a guitar like that, you can buy a bridge for $30 and just replace it. So there you go. I mean, it's aesthetic only. So unless the chrome is peeling in a way that's going to cut your hand, it's just aesthetic. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be on there. This one's from Marty B. Says, hey, Phil, have you ever replaced a hot preamp tube for a cooler one to improve the clean headroom? Slows the roll in the gain. Kinda. I've never really specifically used. I know you can get different preamp tubes that will do that, right? Give you more gain, less gain, stuff like that. But I've swapped out 12 AX7s for 12 AT7s or 12 AU7s. One of my first kind of big breakout videos was showing everybody how to take a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe and put a 12 AT7 in the V1 spot, and kind of mellow out the amp, with volume and the gain, and kind of make it a little more bluesy sounding, and of course get a better volume off that potentiometer because it's linear. Fender later fixed that hot rod by changing out the potentiometer from the linear to the tapered, I think is what they did. But I've done that many times with amps where I've swapped out I have a 12 AT and an AU7s. I have a couple of them, and I'll plug them in and a V1 spot to see what it does to the amp and taper off. But yeah, I've messed with that. It's not a huge thing though for me. I mean, like I said, I'm not really a tinkerer of the tubes, so to speak. But I will do certain things if I'm doing that, it's because I'm not loving the amp and I'm trying to find a way to keep it or fall in love with it. So, thank you, Deborah, for the super chat. Ray says, how to make a Strat do country. What? Well, you play country on it, buddy. Ray, country's got to be in your soul. You play the country. The guitar is not music. Guitars are not music specific. I understand what you're saying, so But this is where it's interesting when it comes to tone chasing, right? You will find that musicians, their style of play is so ingrained into their DNA, that when they play guitars, I mean, you can get you can get Brad Paisley to play a Dimebag Darrell, Dean guitar, and he's gonna country that thing up, right? It's gonna come out country. So the guitar specifically isn't genre specific. We say that, we say Fenders are, a Tele is a country guitar, a Tele is a blues guitar. But Teles are metal guitars. I mean, look at John 5. I mean, there's musicians who always kind of prove that it doesn't really matter, right? Yngwie Malmsteen plays single coils and he plays metal, right? I mean, there's all kinds of players breaking rules, so to speak. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some guitars, they're not best suited for that genre of music, but they're not specifically genre specific. So a Strat, how do you make it sound country? You play country on it. You play the style. The guitar itself won't be hindering you, especially a Strat. Country players play Strats all the time, but it's got to start from you. I use this a lot. It's one of the things that gets old and tiring. I love talking about this debate on this podcast. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the tone debate. I love all the debates. They're fun, right? This is entertainment. I'm creating entertainment. We're talking about things that are fun to argue. I want you to either go, yeah, that was great, Phil, I'm with you, or this guy's a moron, right? But either way, because it gets you excited internally and you get thinking and you change yourself. But that being said, besides the whole, like, it's fun to dive in these topics, this is where I want to just say this. What I really feel about tone wood, what I really feel about like styles of guitars that are specific, whether or not the tone is in your hands, or the tone is in the pickups, or the tone is only in the speakers, right? I get that one a lot too. Guys will go, man, it doesn't matter the amp, just matters the speakers. Some people tell me all of it matters. In my opinion, all of it matters to some degree, but it's more than what you think. I really believe this. So if this makes us not friends, all of us, not you not you specifically, but all of us, here's what it is. It starts tone. It starts here. It starts in your head. It's in your head. You have to have the idea of it. That's where it comes out of your brain first, right? Maybe you heard it from somebody. Maybe you're mimicking someone's tone. Maybe you have a sound in your head. Some people, like literally, some musicians are so crazy talented. This idea comes in their head and it just happens. Some of us, though, we just imitate things. So we hear it, we see it, our brain calculates it, and we reproduce it. So tone starts in your head. It goes in your head, and then it goes to your hands. And then it's about taking this information in your head and making your hands do the thing. And then that goes through the strings, right? With the pick, all right? So it's the pick. So tone is your mind, your hands, the pick, the strings, the pickup, the type of wood, the type of paint, the type of bridge, the type of tuning keys, the temperature in the room, right? The emotional state, which is your head again, how you feel, the cable, the amplifier, the speaker, the cabinet, the rubber feet or lack of rubber feet on the cabinet touching the floor. All of that matters, in my opinion. And then where I decide from there is I go, well, how much does it matter? In other words, where do I want to spend my energy trying to solve a problem? Like I said, at the end of the day, I'm a repair guy, right? So to me, it's diagnostics is the number one thing. How do I fix something? How do I figure out what's wrong with it and fix it? To me, when I'm trying to do this equation of how do I get a sound, I take all those things and I go, they all matter. They have to, because they all have a variable. And I go, but I only have so much energy and so much time in life. I mean, hell, I have a guitar with no string on it, right? Like, I don't have time to. So I go, and then I start deciding, well, first, why don't I fix me? That's where I start first. Well, maybe I'll get some lessons. Maybe I'll learn the song. Maybe I'll work on the technique, right? Because first of all, if everything's replicating something, it's going to replicate your technique. And if your technique's crap, that's what it replicates, right? Right. There's a reason why people watch a video of the same pedal. I mean, here's the argument of the ages. I've reviewed the exact same pedal the exact same day as Pete Thorne, and Pete Thorne sounded amazing, and I sounded right. And when they watched the videos, they went, okay, that's what the pedal can sound like if somebody's talented got it. That's Pete Thorne. And that's what Phil McKnight did with it. So I'm probably closer to Phil than Pete Thorne. I'm not making this up. This is true. These are real conversations I've had with guys like Pete Thorne, Tim Pierce, all these guys. We watch them to go, this is what they can do with it. So that's what the thing is capable of doing, right? It's like, how fast can this car go? Look at that race car guy going 120 miles an hour. But how does it handle on its way to work? That's what Phil McKnight's going to show me. How practical is it? Like if I can play a little bit okay, how does it sound, right? And so essentially we got to start there, how you play. And then, like I said, we're gonna then start tweaking each thing. I'm more focused on the big problems. The speaker's a big problem. Make sure you're a good speaker, make sure it's good pickup, make sure your strings are good, right? Those are to me more than I'm going to worry about, like how thick the paint on a guitar is, or or you know, the temperature of the room. Although I think that matters 0.01% maybe. So this is a long way to go. But I want you to understand with your question, which is a very good question, by the way. You know, how do you make a Strat sound country? Well, you sound country, and then the guitar will too. Sounds like a cop-out, and that's why I wanted to go in this way with you, because I don't want you to think I'm making fun of you or I'm saying something silly. I really mean this. Like, you got to play some country style stuff, and then that was what the guitar come out of it. And the only thing I can tell you is country, in my experience, country players love a big, clean sound. And that's why some of that stuff is hard to play because they don't use a lot of breakup and distortion. Some modern country does, but man, older country, oh man, some of those licks, they're like shred metal level difficulty, but then no distortion, no delay, nothing to hide behind. Just you and a PV Classic on clean. Which is why I don't play a lot of country, because I don't think you get. There's music. I tell you all the time, fake it. Right? You can fake it. There's a book called the Fake Book, right? And jazz and stuff. But fake it till you make it, right? You can fake it. I tell everybody all the time, I can fake 18 seconds probably of anything, right? That's what being in a music store taught me, demoing guitars for people. They're like, hey, I want to buy this guitar and I'm really into reggae. And I'm like, all right. And I play and they go, wow, you play really good reggae. I'm like, as long as we only play that 7 seconds, you're probably going to think that I do. So I learned how to fake a little bit of everything. But I've learned that some music is almost impossible to fake. And some of the country stuff, man, it's just too tricky. It's too hard if you're doing the hard stuff. Binky Warren says Glenn Campbell can shred. Well, a lot of those, look, a lot of country players are closet shredders, right? Like they literally, we had no idea. They were playing, they can play licks that just don't seem like, it's what's happening. And all of a sudden you start paying attention. When you go to learn it, you're just like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, how am I going to do this? I can't do this at all. So there you go. There you go. Ian's Guitar Shack says tone is from the butt. I know I wanted to read that just because I wanted to think if I could think of something witty as a retort or, nothing. So tone is in the butt. Using my logic, man, I guess we would assign everything in a percentage. So we would have to argue how much of the tone is from the butt. So could be why everybody plays sitting down now to get better tone. All right. Josh Smith says help for some new wiper blades on the dump truck. Don't buy Rain-X brand. It's a racket. Yes, the dump truck. Yeah, it's great. So nice. Thank you, Josh. Okay, Stephen Russell says, hey, why do you not do KYG strings, picks, guitar straps, neck bean bags, cushions, industrial grade? Hope you can still have a good Christmas. That's very, very astute of you to mention those things, because that's absolutely what you should be doing if you have any kind of small, success on a platform like this, right? I should be like, hey, buy my Know Your Gear strings, buy my picks and things, because again, that's how you really fund the channel, right? It's a really good idea. The problem I have, and it's a big problem, is I've said this before, where like when I give advice, like essentially this QA thing is like, people ask things and I talk about the subject they're interested or the question they're interested in. I try to give some insight, and I know that comes across like, like you're a know-it-all. I'm not a know-it-all. I'm really a dumbass as a whole. But like I said, I've been around, right? I love stand-up comedy. There's a comedian who says, I almost can't have a conversation with anyone under 40. I don't mean to insult anybody under 40, but he says this, right? He says, I almost can't have a conversation with anybody under 40 because they haven't, everybody over 40's got a funny story at least, or something to that effect. I'm messing up the routine, I'm sure. The point is that I've lived a little while in this industry, so I can tell you all the things that happened to me. So notice almost every piece of advice is really not a direct answer. It's a story about a thing that happened to me, because I have a really amazing memory. And on top of that, I not only can remember a lot of information, I can remember a lot of things that happened to me. So I'll just tell you like, oh, this is what happened. Your question, this is what happened when I did that. And then maybe get some insight from that. So the reason that ties into picks and strings and stuff is that goes the same. I don't want to sit here and go buy a zither stand. They're $200 stands. Look, I get it, man. You can buy a really nice Gator stand. Dude, the Gator company has super been kind to me. They send me random gifts sometimes. They've offered to sponsor videos. They're always at the Sweetwater events. Gator has definitely done everything you could ask a company to try to get my attention to promote Gator stuff to you. But I don't use Gator. I use string swings and I use zither stands. That's what I use. And I kind of align myself to that logic of, I don't tell you what I think you should do. I tell you what I did, and then hopefully there's something to learn or not learn from that. And same thing with product. I'll review product and I'll give you my insight into it. But when we're talking about sticking up my brand, the Know Your Gear thing, the brand is me. I'm the brand. So essentially it's like a seal of approval on something. And that seal of approval is not that it's good. The seal of approval is that I use it. That's how I look at it, right? So, because I don't think you care what I think people are curious, like, what do you use, right? Like, so that's why stuff like that. So strings. So I can tell you right now, I use Stringjoy strings and D'Addario strings. Those are the two brands of strings I use. That's the only two strings I use. I do not use any other strings as a whole. I have a video coming sponsored by DR because DR is sponsoring the strings, and I like DR strings and I like other brands of strings too, but I pretty much just use a Stringjoy and D'Addario, and I've said this up front because, again, like I said, everything's biased. Just what is the bias? I like those people. I like the people at Stringjoy. I like them. I know them personally. And I like the people at D'Addario. I know them personally. I like them. So I use their stuff. It's the same reason people super chat me and, and patron me and stuff. They go, I like what you're doing. I like you. I'm going to help you do your thing. I'm the same thing. So I do that. But like I said, I don't necessarily. So when people go, oh, Ernie balls are better, I'm like, they probably are. I don't know anybody at Ernie ball. Not a single person. So that wouldn't do me any good, right? Because I'm not picking it for that reason. I'm picking it because I like these relationships that I have that are nice people. So same thing. So same thing with all this other stuff. Picks wise, I use picks. I have Know Your Gear picks to give away. But so, they're just, my wife has them made, and then I don't use them at all. There's just like, I can give you guys something, it has a logo. It's like a, guitar token, a thing. But like I said up front, these are the three picks I use. These are the only three picks I use. These are them. So I used the Herco pick, which was the pick that when I got to meet Eddie Van Halen at this event, they gave us Eddie Van Halen picks, which were the Herco picks. And so after I used the picks they gave me, I just bought Herco picks. So I'll use these a lot. So Herco picks. I call it a cat tongue. It's really, my hands are very dry. I don't have sweaty hands at all. So I need something that's like almost like sandpaper holding my like fingers, because my hands, I've said this before as a while ago. I can't open the plastic bags at the grocery store for produce. Like, my hands are so dry, like all the time. My hands are dry all the time. Anybody seen close to my videos? I mean, my hands are all chewed up all the time from working on stuff because, right? I work on things, and I try to keep my nails, not gross for the videos, but you get the idea. It's like I work, right? It's I work, but my hands are so dry that, like, if you you pull off one of those things to put some apples in it, I can't open it like this. I can't open it at all. It's like slick. So for picks, I need something like this, the cat tongue thing, where it sticks out. That's exactly what it feels like if you had a cat lick you. If you haven't, just think of sandpaper. It's going to feel like sandpaper. So if you like that, great. The other one I use is the Dava pick. This is the other pick I use. And again, because it's rubber coated, same thing. It's got lines in it to hold it. Larry Mitchell played these. He gave me one day. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then I've been using them ever since. That's it. And then I use the pick that Black Mountain makes. That's the 3 picks in one. And same thing. It's got these rivets in it. I can hold on to them. And I like it because I like thin picks for the acoustic. And I like this black pick. I'm not a real big fan of the red pick. I don't use it, but I use these two. And so I use these. And I use this one specifically because there's something I like about these 2 picks. And there 2 of the 3 on this kind of remind me of these. But this is the pick. I'm just telling you, I don't use this at home ever. This is what I use. Like, if I leave the house, this goes in my pocket. Like, anywhere I go, this is the pick. So I just have a pick on me. And I like it because it's so obnoxious. Like, the way it looks. And it's just large. It's a larger pick. I mean, it's not too large. I don't know why I can't line that up. One of the things I like about this pick is I don't lose them. you set it on top of an amp somewhere. If you're at a friend's house or at a music store, it's sticking out, right? It's glowing at you in your pocket. You're not, I don't fiddle around looking for a pick. I mean, as soon as you feel this thing, it's got some substance. And like I said, I have different styles of picks to use, and it's really cool. And so those are the 3 picks. I have tons of other picks, but I only use these 3. So here's what's funny about this. Well, this is Eddie Van Halen's pick, so putting my name on this would be dumb because he's Eddie Van Halen. That's enough reason to want it. Herco pick, Eddie Van Halen. This pick is this. There's no way to put this name on this. Larry Mitchell, so has his Dava picks are brown. So that's a color you can't get unless Larry gives you one, I think. So maybe Dava could make me my own color, and then that would be a signature kind of pick. But again, there's nowhere to put my name on that or signature, so there's no way to sell this to you as a signature product. And the same thing right here. So again, this is what I understand. Trust me. Your advice is well taken, because the fact that you're right. If I had more KYG type products, I mean, we even talked about KYG Tools. Trust me, I've had, and this is towards the end of the show, so I'm okay with sharing this. I have in the shop dozens and dozens of tools that are prototypes for Know Your Gear tools. Absolutely. I hate all of them. We give away, when a patron becomes the top tier patron, you pay, for the entire year, $25 a month. It's huge, tier, and you pay for the year. You get a care package that's curated by my wife of all the things I love. My DiMarzio straps, these picks, the Music Nomad string action ruler, which is expensive, right? Because we buy this stuff to give away. I mean, I understand you're paying me for Patreon, but every dollar I don't spend, that goes to me in this channel. But the string action gauge, although I get about 10, 15, I think 15% off buying them in bulk, buying 50 at a time from Sweetwater. We had them made. We had a version made. To give you a reference, I'd have to ask my wife to be sure, but it didn't cost $1. I know that. Maybe $1.30 a piece. So literally going from like $12 down to $1 to have the same thing made. It's exactly the same looking as Music Nomad, but the quality wasn't there. I have a stack of them. I won't give them to anybody because I don't like them. So same thing. So same thing. To answer your question is, I can't sell you guys anything that I absolutely don't love, and I can't spend the time and energy it takes to make sure it's right. So I try to align myself with companies that I totally love, and like zither stands, like Black Mountain, which is Cole, where not only do I like their products, but you understand, if anything goes wrong with zither stands, anything goes wrong with Black Mountain, I'm texting Cole right now. I'm texting Tony Zither. I'm texting these guys. I'm calling them. They're answering me on the first call. And I'm like, hey man, I have a problem. This can't, these guys, I don't work with companies that where if I can't get to the head of the company and get a problem solved for somebody, and so like I said, so that's why I do it the way I do. So I try to associate and try to do these co-branded things where I put my branding with them, or StuMac deal. So like supporting the channel, if you buy StuMac tools, look man, I could sell you tools right now. I could have them made. I have them in the other room. Put Know Your Gear on them. I could sell them to you for half of what StuMac charges, half. And I would make 10 times what I would make if you buy a StuMac product. But I can't give you the warranty with it. I can't give you the support you need with it. StuMac will literally exchange out any tool for any reason. And it wouldn't be a quality product, and so I can't do it. So to answer your question, that's why I don't do any of that stuff. But I'm looking. I'm trying. Every year I try, because I think it's a great way to fund the channel and a great way to do this stuff. But I mean, it's got to be right. It can't be any kind of compromise. It's not worth it. It's why we're trying. Like I said, we're really working hard to make the Northern Lights production pickup. Where I'm not doing it. And same thing, man. It's like I can get them made, and I can get the price down to where a price you guys would go, wow, that's amazing. And I could put my branding on it. I just can't get behind I don't love the pickup yet. So it's got to be all there. I know. It sounds, I don't know. Thank you for asking the question, and thank you for the suggestion. So, because look, it's a good idea, especially since one of the things, same thing. You said straps. Same thing. There are tons of companies that reach out to me all the time. We can make Know Your Gear straps. I'm like, great. But I only use DiMarzio straps. I've been using them since 1992. They're not the best straps. They're just the straps I've been using forever. So that's what I use. And DiMarzio, Larry DiMarzio, who's my friend, I consider him a dear friend. Same thing. I can call him. If I text him right now, he'd answer. Call him right now, he'd answer on the show. Dear friend. But you got to understand, his artist roster is like Steve Vai. Steve Vai, right? It's Paul Gilbert. He's not going to make a Know Your Gear strap. So, and I'm not going to ask him. So there you go. So, because I can't do that, the only thing I could do is knock him off, and I wouldn't do that to him. That would be horrible to do to a person. And I don't want to put my something on a strap and then just tell you guys I use it, when really I'm not using that. I'm using the DiMarzio strap. So I just keep picking products. Apparently, all the products I love have no way to co-op with me in a way that would fulfill what you were talking about. And so we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky one day. All right. Tom says, hey, time to say thanks, Phil and KYG crew. Here is your beer money. Wow, $20. That's beer money for sure. Woohoo. Thank you. Now I'm going to definitely have to drink a beer. Okay, let's wrap this show up. What do we got? We have, let me do, okay, hold on. Let me do two things. I'm going to grab a couple free forms, right? I'm going to try to button up in the next 5 to 8 minutes. So let's, Amanda sent another question. She sent a bunch. Thank you. Hold on. Oh, Killen says, I hope I'm saying your name right. Which cabinet speaker monitor would you recommend for pairing with the Kemper for home use? So I had the Kemper unpowered unit, and I've had every FR speaker. When I say every, that's exaggerating, but I mean, I had Line 6, I had the Friedman, I had one from Mark DB Mark. I had one from like a bunch of others. I mean, I didn't have the new Fender one, but I've had tons of them. I was never happy. So what I ended up doing, this is what I ended up doing. I just said, screw it. And I have now the Kemper that's powered, and I run it right into a Friedman 112 cabinet with what is the speaker? The blonde one. What is wrong with me? See, you can tell I get towards the end of the 2 hours because it's like my brain just goes, I fry out. I don't know. The blonde selection speaker that I can't. The creamback. Thank you. Cream. Not blonde, cream. The creamback speaker. So that's what that's what I use. And I love it. That's how I use it. And I run all my amps to those same cabinets, and I run the Kemper through it. That's how I do it. And I've been totally happy. I've never looked back. It's been at least 2 years. Or year and a half. Long time. With it. Happy. Okay. And then you guys are talking about Glenn Fricker. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so Glenn Fricker, you guys are bringing up Glenn Fricker. As you know, I know Glenn really well. And I like to always say this so you know. Glenn's a nice guy. I love doing this. It's kind of like, look, I like him. But liking him, I just love to expose this. He's a nice guy. I've met him so many times. He's nice. It's, on his show, he yells and screams stuff. He yells and screams in person too, but he's a super kind person. It's kind of like funny, right? Like he's exactly like I think he's actually probably nicer than me. So he's a really nice guy. So the question or the comment you guys are all referring to is that Glenn always says the pickups don't matter. Well, first of all, in context, he's a metal guy. He's a metal guy who's doing metal production, and he's in the studio. So let me give you two answers to that. One, what he's saying to clarify. So please don't confuse what he's saying in case you might be, which is for metal, what he's doing is analogy that I've used for many years. He's talking about that analogy that I've used, which is, I always say, like, EMG pickups are like A1 steak sauce. Whether on steak or on cardboard, it tastes the same. I love that analogy or that saying. It's a great saying, right? Distortion's the same kind of thing. Distortion is A1 steak sauce or ketchup, if you will, right? You throw enough of it, it's ranch dressing. Actually, you know what? Distortion is ranch dressing. That's what we're going to call it from now on. You basically, you know, there's a comedian that I love who says, I love ranch dressing so much they could put it on a dog turd and I'd eat it. I know that's gross, but it's a funny joke. The point is that ranch and distortion are the same thing to me in my mind, which is, yeah, you put enough ranch on something, it's not going to taste like what it is anymore. It's going to taste like whatever, you know, it's going to taste like ranch. Same thing with a pickup, right? So if you sat there and said, Phil, you know, if I run a high gain Soldano or a 5150 or Engel or whatever highest gain saturated, and I run the difference between a PAF and a real one from a 59 Les Paul and an EMG and a Fishman and a crappy pickup made in China that is missing 3 screws. You know, which one's going to sound, you know, they're not going to sound that much different. You're right. Because we're talking about like, you know, where I'm saying the same thing. If I said, oh, if I gave you McDonald's chicken nuggets and I gave you a nice fillet of chicken, a nice piece of chicken, and I gave you all these other pieces and I dumped ranch over everything, you're going to go, it doesn't matter because all you're going to taste is ranch. Yes, if you load up enough distortion on the amplifier, it's going to be really hard to detect what the pickup is giving you and not giving you. I still think you could tell, but it's going to be subtle to the point where, again, I told you about that. You know, where do you want to pick your battles and what hill do you want to die on, right? I don't want to be fighting, you know, the tone differences that extreme. So he is talking in that format. He's also talking in a studio format. And you got to understand, studio guys are much different than the average, like you and me kind of person. A lot of you guys are not studio people. Otherwise, you'd be watching a studio channel. Where, you know, they can fix a lot of stuff in post. They can fix stuff in the mix. They can fix stuff with miking, right? So, I mean, he's going to argue like a studio person. So here's what I would ask you to understand. And this is a great way. It's not a cop-out. It's actually just probably going to give you more insight. Imagine if you asked Michael Wagner. If you don't know who Michael Wagner is, he's an amazing producer. He's produced a ton of amazing albums. Everything from King's X, you know, you name it, he's done it, okay? Imagine asking Bob Rock, another amazing producer, right? Who's done AC/DC, he's done Metallica, he's done Motley Crue, Def Leppard, I think, right? Mutt Lange did Def Leppard, I think. Mutt Lange. You take these amazing producers, okay, who produce these amazing albums with these bands, and then you talk to a guitar player. So if you ask a guitar player how you create the tone, his tone, he's going to talk in like his pedals, his amp, right? His guitar strings, his pick, his technique. But when you go to that producer and ask him, how is that tone created? They're going to say, well, this is how we mic'd the room. And this is how we mixed it. And this is how many layers of guitar, right? Neither one of them are going to be wrong. They're just going to see how they get sound. And to be honest with you, right, collectively, you need them both. But you get the idea. So Glenn Fricker, a lot of times, obviously, like I said, I've had a lot of personal conversation with him about this. We never fight because, one, he's a nice guy, and two, we don't need to fight. We don't disagree. We just have two different perspectives of how you're going to get sound because of what our end goal is. If his end goal is to make an album sound great, he's going to focus everything he says, especially on his channel, to how what you need to do to pay attention to get the album great. At the end of the argument, if you told me if you're making an album, how much does your pickups matter, matches how much versus how much the microphones in the rooms you're in matter, again, I'm going to go, oh, the pickups are not nearly as important as the microphones in the room in the recording. In the room at home, playing guitar through my own personal amp, the room and the mics don't even apply. They don't even matter to me. All I care about is my tone. On stage, I'd have a different perspective. Right? So again, there's not one, like I said, two things can be totally wrong and both be right. Two opposing things and still, because again, it's what needs the application to be. So it's an application thing. And I think when Glenn goes on, when he explains this, I've heard him say it subtly those ways. He's saying what he's talking about. I've heard him say it. But a lot of times I'm just saying, when you guys, I want you to pay attention. He's going to give you advice based on his environment and what he thinks you need to do what he does, right? So for instance, he records albums, I fix guitars. If you give us the same question, we're going to give you two different answers. Neither answer is going to be wrong. they're just focused on a different way of presenting what I care about, right? Or presenting what we care about. I hope that makes sense. If not, we'll hit it again. So there you go. But like I said, yeah, he does a lot of controversial stuff with speakers and pickups and stuff like that. And again, I don't think it's, I mean, obviously a little bit of, get people going, but also, like I said, if you really pay attention to what he's doing, he's really just telling you what matters in his environment. And he's not wrong in his environment. Like I said, on stage, at a different problem, if I told you my favorite amp is this amp and it's great, but if I take it out of my bedroom and on stage, no one can hear it, who cares if it sounds good? No one can hear it. So if somebody said this is they'll have a different attitude for stage. So versus in your room. There you go. Don't forget to enter to win the Blackstock Northern Lights pickups. Like I said, you'll get to choose if you just want a standard set like I normally do, or the burnt ones where I kind of took a torch to the cover and stuff. Just like, I thought it was cool. I seen Bare Knuckles do a few. I did a bunch of these. I thought it came out great. So like I said, if you want to do something crazy, a little bit like this, you can get these. Either way, you'll pick when I email you when you win. So go ahead and enter that. That's free. And then also, if you're looking for StewMac tools, this is the time to do it in the next 2 weeks. If it's not in your budget this weekend, don't worry. It's going to go on for a week or so. So there's a couple weeks to apply for. You get half off their shipping StewMax promotion, which is a really good deal. And you get 10% off all those tools, which is expensive tools. So really cool. And there you go. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for your time. Till the next time. Oh, and if I missed any super chats, we'll scoop them next week, but I don't think I did, but just in case. All right, till the next time. Oh yeah, we don't have to do that anymore. We do this.
The Know Your Gear podcast.